There's a curious kind of magic in the way a woman guards her soul. You can know her laughter, her favorite perfume, the curve of her smile, and still, she remains a mystery, wrapped in tenderness and quiet strength. A woman can open her heart to a man, trust him with her world, and yet keep a few chambers locked away, rooms where only she knows the language written on the walls. Not because she is deceitful, not because she doesn't love deeply, but because some truths are too fragile, too sacred, or too painful to expose. Every woman hides something not to manipulate, but to preserve the essence of who she is. And so today we explore this unspoken truth, why a woman always hides 3 things from a man and what lies beneath that quiet secrecy. She hides the depth of her pain not out of deceit but out of instinct, an ancient wordless instinct woven through generations of women who learn that to survive one must sometimes smile while bleeding inside. You see her walking through the world with calm eyes and gentle grace, and you might think she has known only peace. But beneath that calm surface lies an ocean that has seen storms, a heart that has been cracked and mended so many times that it glows with quiet strength. Her pain is invisible not because it is small, but because it is sacred. It is the kind of pain she doesn't speak of, not even to the person she loves most. A woman's pain often wears disguises. It hides behind laughter that sounds a little too bright, behind words like, "I'm fine," which are meant to reassure, not reveal. It hides in the small silences after arguments, when she stares at the floor, gathering herself because she knows she must keep the peace. She buries her wounds beneath duty, motherhood, work, or care for others, for the world has taught her that to cry too loudly is to seem weak. To need comfort is to be needy, and to fall apart is to be dramatic. And so she learns the art of carrying heartbreak elegantly. She learns to host her own sorrow quietly, like an old guest who refuses to leave. There's a certain poetry in how women endure pain. It doesn't make them colder, it makes them deeper. The same way the ocean deepens after every storm, a woman deepens after every trial. There are stories within her that no one will ever hear, the heartbreaks that reshaped her spirit, the betrayals that taught her silence, the dreams she had to bury to keep a family together. All of them live inside her like folded letters never sent. She hides them because they are hers alone, the map of her becoming. I once met a woman who had lost everything she thought she couldn't live without, her marriage, her home, her sense of belonging. Yet when she spoke, her voice carried no bitterness. She had learned that grief, when held long enough, becomes wisdom. I cried for months, she told me. But one morning I woke up and decided that the world had taken enough from me. It would not take my joy. That's what women do. They build light where darkness once stood. They learn to turn sorrow into soil from which strength grows. Sometimes she hides her pain because the people around her wouldn't understand it. They might tell her to move on, to let go, to forgive before she's ready. They don't see that healing is not a command, it's a slow rebirth. Every woman has a private process of healing, a quiet ritual of returning to herself. Maybe it's through prayer, music, writing, or simply walking alone until her thoughts soften. What she hides is not her weakness, it's her sacred space for transformation. There are men who will see her tears and think it's their duty to fix her, but she doesn't need fixing. She needs understanding. Her hidden pain is not a problem to be solved, but a story to be respected. When she chooses not to share it, it isn't rejection, it's reverence. She gives her silence not as punishment, but as protection, because she knows that once spoken, pain becomes vulnerable to misunderstanding. She'd rather keep it as a secret flame, something that warms her from within, even as it burns. The truth is, the strength of a woman often lies in what she endures silently. She could tell you of the nights she cried without a sound, of the days she worked with a broken heart, of the dreams she postponed so someone else could rise. But she doesn't, because in her heart she knows that to survive this world, one must sometimes walk through fire without screaming. And she does again and again, until the pain becomes part of her rhythm, until the scars become stories of survival instead of reminders of loss. If you look closely, you'll see traces of her hidden pain everywhere, in the way she listens without judgment, in the patience that radiates from her, in the quiet strength that steadies others even when she herself is trembling inside. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's filled with 1,000 lessons learned the hard way. And that is why her smile carries such depth. It's not the smile of someone untouched by pain, but the smile of someone who has walked through it and still chooses kindness. So yes, she hides the depth of her pain, but not because she wants to deceive the world. She hides it because she has learned that pain, when hidden in the right way, becomes power. It teaches her compassion. It teaches her resilience. It teaches her how to stand tall, even when her heart remembers every fall. And though you may never see the full weight of what she carries, you can feel it in her eyes, in her strength, and in the quiet, unshakable dignity with which she moves through life. She hides her insecurities, not because she is vain or afraid of truth, but because she has learnt that the world is not always kind to those who reveal their fragile places. From the outside, she may appear composed, her smile effortless, her laughter unshaken, but beneath that surface lies a quiet battle only she can hear. It's the whisper that tells her she isn't enough, the doubt that follows her like a shadow, the fear that if she is fully seen, she might not be loved in the same way again. From an early age, she was taught to perfect the art of appearing fine. The world measured her worth by how she looked, how she spoke, how well she fit the picture others painted for her. Somewhere between expectation and reality, she learned to wear confidence like armor, polished and gleaming, even when it was heavy to hold. Because to falter, to admit uncertainty, would mean risking the illusion of strength. And for a woman, the illusion of strength has often been her shield in a world too quick to question her place. She hides her insecurities in subtle ways. She laughs a little louder when she feels unseen. She overthinks every word she says, replaying conversations long after they've ended, wondering if she said too much or not enough. She straightens her posture when she feels small, applies lipstick when she feels invisible, and says I'm okay when she's anything but. These small rituals of survival are her way of holding herself together when the world asks her to shine, even while she's breaking. What makes it all the more tragic and beautiful is that her insecurities are not born from weakness, but from how deeply she feels. She worries not because she is fragile, but because she cares. She wants to be enough for those she loves, to be worthy of the faith others place in her. And so she hides her insecurities not to deceive, but to protect her image, her dignity, and sometimes her heart. You might see her in a meeting, confident and eloquent, yet inside she's questioning every word that leaves her lips. You might see her post a picture on social media, radiant and calm, yet moments before she may have stared at her reflection, picking herself apart in silence. Every woman has known that quiet moment before stepping into the world. The deep breath that says, let them see the best version of you. And so she steps out, dressed in courage, her insecurities tucked neatly behind her grace. There is a kind of irony in how the strongest women often hide the most fragile doubts. The woman who encourages others to love themselves might secretly compare her body to the ones she sees online. The woman who leads with confidence may sometimes stand before the mirror and see every flaw magnified. Yet no one would know, because she has mastered the balance between vulnerability and composure. It's not deceit, it's survival in a world that demands perfection while punishing imperfection. A friend once told me about her mother, a woman admired for her poise and strength. Only years later did she discover how many nights her mother cried quietly after everyone had gone to sleep, convinced she had failed her children. She had hidden her insecurities behind gentle words and unwavering love, never letting her family see the cracks. And yet, it was those hidden insecurities that made her more human, more real, because a woman's strength does not come from being fearless. It comes from walking forward despite the fears she hides. If you've ever looked at a woman and thought she has it all together, know this, she probably doesn't. She's just learned how to dance with her insecurities, how to turn them into rhythm instead of restraint. She's learned that even when doubt whispers, she can still move forward. The truth is, her insecurities are not her enemy. They are her teachers. They remind her of her humanity, of the fact that she still dreams, still strives, still wants to be more. And maybe that's why she hides them, because deep down she knows that people often mistake insecurity for weakness, when in fact it's proof of a tender, living heart. It's proof that she cares enough to want to be better, to love deeply, to give fully. She hides her insecurities not to lie, but to continue, because life demands that she stands tall, even when her knees are trembling beneath her dress. Every woman you meet carries a secret inventory of her own doubts, tiny scars left by words once spoken to her, by comparisons, by disappointments she's never confessed. Yet those same insecurities give her empathy. They allow her to understand another person's pain, to offer kindness without judgment. The woman who hides her insecurities is not avoiding truth. She is simply choosing which truths are safe to share and which are better guarded until the world learns to listen without wounding. So when you see her smile, know that it's not always the smile of someone who feels certain. Sometimes it's the smile of someone choosing bravery over fear. And though she may hide her insecurities from the world, they are part of what makes her luminous. For the light that shines through a woman is not the light of perfection. It is the light of someone who has learned to glow, despite the cracks she hides within. She hides her dreams the way some people hide their most precious letters in a box only she knows the location of, wrapped in fragments of hope and guarded by silence. A woman's dreams are not simply ambitions or fantasies. They are the secret language of her soul, the map of who she might become if the world would only let her. But the world is rarely gentle with women's dreams. It questions them, reshapes them, and often demands they be smaller, quieter, more convenient. So she learns little by little to tuck them away, not to forget them, but to protect them. When she was younger, her dreams were loud. She might have spoken them with shining eyes, imagining a future that stretched endlessly ahead. Perhaps she dreamed of creating something extraordinary, a book, a business, a journey across the world. Perhaps she dreamed of freedom, of a life where her choices weren't defined by someone else's expectations. But as she grew, the voices around her began to whisper, "Be realistic. Don't reach too high. You have responsibilities now." And so she folded her dreams neatly and placed them deep within herself, promising she would return to them one day. That day, however, never comes easily. She hides her dreams because life for many women becomes a delicate balancing act between duty and desire. She becomes the caretaker, the listener, the steady one. Her days fill with the needs of others. Work deadlines, family routines, the endless list of small sacrifices that make her reliable. Yet every so often, when the world grows quiet, she feels them stir. The dreams she hid long ago, still alive beneath the surface. They whisper to her in the stillness before dawn, reminding her that she was once more than what she's settled into. There's something heartbreaking and beautiful about this quiet preservation of self. I once met a woman who loved to paint. Her art was luminous, full of color and emotion. But she stopped when her children were born, saying she would return to it when things calmed down. Decades passed, the paints dried, the brushes gathered dust. One day, when her children were grown, she found an old canvas in the attic, a half-finished piece frozen in time. She told me she wept, not because of regret, but because the woman who had painted it still lived somewhere inside her. "I thought I'd lost her," she said softly, "but she was only waiting for me to remember." That's the truth about women's dreams. They never die. They might sleep, buried under years of selflessness and fear, but they wait. They wait for courage, for space, for permission. Some are hidden because they are too wild, too extraordinary for a world that expects women to be practical. Some are hidden because past disappointments made hope feel dangerous. She's learned that revealing too much of what she wants invites judgment or misunderstanding. So she keeps her most daring dreams private, where they cannot be mocked or diminished. Sometimes she hides her dreams even from the man she loves, not because she doesn't trust him, but because they are hers alone, too delicate to be shared, until they have grown strong enough to survive in the open air. She fears that if she speaks them aloud, they might be misunderstood, or worse, dismissed. And so she learns to nurture them in secret, in small acts of defiance, reading late into the night, writing when everyone else sleeps, collecting fragments of inspiration in her mind like hidden treasures. It's not that she doesn't want to chase her dreams. It's that she's been taught that her worth lies in serving, not in soaring. The world often praises her for her sacrifice, not her ambition. It admires her patience more than her passion. And slowly she begins to believe that wanting more is selfish. Yet deep inside, there's a voice that refuses to quiet. It's the same voice that once told her she could do anything, the one that hums softly when she's alone, reminding her that she was born for more than endurance. Every woman who hides her dreams carries that spark within her. Some ignite it later in life when the world stops watching. Others pass it down to their daughters, hoping they will live out what they couldn't. But always the dream remains. Even when buried under years of compromise, it glows, faintly, like embers that refuse to die. And sometimes in a single moment of courage, she uncovers it again. She picks it up, dusts it off and whispers, "It's time." The beauty of her hidden dreams lies not just in what they could create, but in what they reveal about her spirit. She dreams because she refuses to accept that her story is finished. She dreams because she still believes in something better, something brighter. And even when she hides those dreams behind her daily routines, they are there, alive, waiting, guiding her quietly toward the life she was always meant to live. For when a woman hides her dreams, she is not giving them up. She is preserving them, saving them for the moment when she is ready, when the world is ready, when everything she has endured finally becomes the strength she needs to make them real. She hides her fears of love, not because she doesn't long for it, but because she has felt its power before, how it can lift her beyond herself, and how, in a single breath, it can also unmake her. Love has never been simple for her. It has been both a sanctuary and a storm, both a blessing and a bruise. She has learned that to love is to risk, to open the most delicate parts of her soul to the possibility of being misunderstood, disappointed, or left behind. And so, even when her heart begins to stir again, she guards it, softly, carefully, pretending she is less affected than she truly is. There was a time when she loved without hesitation, when she believed love could heal anything. She gave freely without counting the cost, thinking that honesty and devotion would always be enough. But love, as she discovered, can sometimes hurt those who love most deeply. It can fade quietly, without warning, leaving her to wonder if she imagined it all. Or it can end in a storm of words that echo long after the door closes. The pain of those memories teaches her caution, and that caution becomes her shield. Now, when love knocks again, she hesitates before opening the door. She hides her fear behind a calm smile, behind laughter that feels light but carries weight. She tells herself she's fine on her own, that she doesn't need anyone, that she is stronger this way. And in many ways she is. But late at night, when the world is quiet, her heart betrays her. It remembers what it felt like to be seen, to be held, to be understood without speaking. And she wonders if perhaps she's protecting herself from the very thing she's been longing for. Her fear is not of love itself, but of what it demands. Love asks for vulnerability, for trust, for surrender. And those are the very things she has had to reclaim piece by piece. She remembers how she once handed them over so easily, how she believed promises that were never meant to last. The memory of that breaking still lingers, invisible but real. A wound that healed on the surface but still aches when touched. So she hides her fear, not out of pride, but out of self-preservation. It is the only way she knows to keep her heart safe in a world that has not always been kind to it. Many people mistake her guardedness for indifference. They see her composure and assume she feels nothing, that her silence means she's closed off. But the truth is, she feels everything, perhaps more than anyone else. She loves deeply, quietly, fiercely. Her fear of love is not the absence of it. It is the proof of how much it means to her, because she understands the cost. She knows how love can unravel the strongest mind, how it can make her question her worth when it slips away. And yet, despite all of it, there is still a part of her that hopes. There is a story in her eyes when she meets someone who sees her differently. She wants to believe again, but she also trembles at the thought. What if this time is just another repetition of the same old heartbreak? What if her openness becomes her undoing? And so she tests love, quietly. She gives a little, then retreats, waiting to see if this time the ground beneath her will hold. It's not manipulation. It's survival. A woman who has been wounded by love learns to listen, not to words, but to actions. She watches carefully, hoping for proof that this time she can lean without falling. Sometimes she hides her fears even from herself. She convinces her heart that she's too busy, too focused, too content to need love, but deep down, she knows this isn't true. She knows there's a space within her that only genuine connection can fill. She hides her fears of love the same way one hides a fragile flame from the wind, protecting it, shielding it, afraid it might be extinguished before it can grow strong enough to light her world again. And when she finally lets someone close, it isn't because she stopped being afraid. It's because, despite her fear, she chose courage. That is the quiet triumph of every woman who dares to love again after being broken. She knows the risks. She remembers the pain. And still she opens her heart, even if only an inch. Because love, when real, is worth the trembling. It's worth the doubt, the hesitation, the ache. Every woman who hides her fear of love does so with the hope that someday someone will understand without her needing to explain. Someone who will hold her heart not as a prize, but as a responsibility. Someone who will see her silence, her hesitation, and recognize it not as distance, but as a history she's still learning to make peace with. So she hides her fears not because she has given up on love, but because she is learning how to love differently, wiser, slower, deeper. She knows now that love isn't found in grand gestures, but in the quiet consistency of someone who stays. And until she finds that, she keeps her fears tucked close to her chest, not as chains, but as reminders of everything she has survived. For she understands in the deepest part of her soul that even when she hides from love, love never truly hides from her. It waits, patient as the dawn, for her heart to be ready once more. She hides her power not because she doesn't know it exists, but because the world has never known quite what to do with a powerful woman. From the moment she learns to walk, she's taught to step lightly, to be kind, to be polite, to make others comfortable, to shine only as much as she's allowed. Somewhere between the lessons of humility and the fear of being misunderstood, she learns to fold her strength neatly, to tuck it away beneath softness and grace. She carries within her a force capable of moving mountains, but she learns to whisper when she was born to roar. There is something extraordinary about how a woman carries power. It's rarely loud, rarely obvious. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need applause. Her power exists in quiet moments, in the way she endures pain without losing tenderness, in how she forgives when she has every reason to turn cold, in how she holds together the pieces of her life when everything around her falls apart. But because her strength is gentle, it's often mistaken for weakness. And so she hides it, not because she doubts it, but because she knows that power in a woman can make others uneasy. Throughout her life, she has watched how the world reacts to women who refuse to shrink. The ones who speak too boldly are called difficult. The ones who lead are called proud. The ones who know their worth are called intimidating. And so she learns to measure her words, to smile when she wants to challenge, to nod when she wants to question. It is not submission, it is strategy. She has seen how easily confidence can be twisted into arrogance, how ambition can be mistaken for defiance. So she hides her power beneath patience, waiting for the right moment to use it. But even hidden, her power is not diminished. It moves quietly through her life, shaping everything she touches. You can see it in the way she comforts others when she herself is breaking, in how she keeps showing up when no one notices her effort. Her power is in her endurance. It's in her ability to start over when the world tells her it's too late, in her decision to keep loving even when love has betrayed her. The world may never see the battles she fights within herself, but they are there, and each one she survives becomes another layer of quiet strength. I once knew a woman who worked 3 jobs, raised 2 children alone, and still found time to help a neighbor in need. When I asked her how she managed, she laughed softly and said, "You just do what has to be done." That's what power looks like in her. It's practical, unglamorous, steady. She doesn't wait for recognition because her reward is knowing she didn't give up. Her strength isn't measured by applause, but by resilience. She hides her power not because she's unaware of it, but because she doesn't need to prove it. The truth is, the world has often underestimated women like her. History is full of names that were forgotten, ideas that were taken, sacrifices that went unacknowledged. Yet, quietly, they built civilizations, healed families, educated generations, and kept humanity alive when everything else fell apart. The reason she hides her power is because she knows it's sacred. It's not for display, it's for creation. She uses it to build, to protect, to nurture, to heal. Her power is not the kind that destroys, it's the kind that endures. Still, there are moments when her power flickers through. The moment she stands up for herself after years of silence. The moment she chooses peace instead of revenge. The moment she says no and means it. Those moments are small revolutions. They remind her that hiding her power doesn't mean losing it. It only means she's learning when and how to reveal it. She knows her voice can shake the ground, but she also knows that true power lies in control, not in volume. Sometimes she hides her power even from herself. She tells herself she can't, she shouldn't, that it's too late, that it's not her turn. She forgets the times she's risen before, the storms she's already survived. But power has a way of remembering. It waits quietly within her, patient and unyielding, until she's ready to call upon it again. And when she finally does, it doesn't explode. It unfolds like dawn breaking over a long night. Her power doesn't need permission to exist. It doesn't need validation or acknowledgement. It simply is. It lives in her words, her choices, her compassion, her persistence. Every time she forgives, she is powerful. Every time she stands back up, she is powerful. Every time she dares to hope again after being broken, she is powerful beyond measure. She hides it, not to diminish herself, but to protect its purity, to keep it from being tainted by the noise of the world. And perhaps that is what makes her power so remarkable. It's not born of dominance or control, but of love. It's the kind of power that rebuilds what's broken, that brings light into dark places, that changes lives quietly, one heartbeat at a time. She may hide it, yes, but it's there, burning softly behind her eyes, guiding her through every trial, reminding her that she has always been more than the world ever taught her to be. And so, yes, a woman always hides 3 things from a man: her deepest pain, her truest dreams, and her quiet power. But if you look closer, you'll see it's not about deception, it's about protection. The parts she hides are not walls, they're sanctuaries. And perhaps the greatest act of love a man can offer is not to unlock them, but to stand guard outside them, with respect, patience, and reverence for the mystery that makes her who she is.